Welcome back, folks, to Pokemon Hot Gold here on the heavybass channel. Oh, it's been a while since I managed to record this episode. You're probably wondering why all these episodes have not been uploaded. Well, mostly because I've been storing them up, and it's now essentially time to start updating them. So, we have chosen Cyndaquil, as I've always stated before, and probably have stated this in past LPs. Gold's canon partner is Cyndaquil. It has always been Cyndaquil, and since this is the Gen 4 remake of the Gen 2 classic, be thankful this is not just a version of Pokemon Gold, Pokemon Silver. And if this was Crystal, I would have played as. If this was Crystal, I would have played as the female protagonist, because Chris has very significant meaning. Not Dawn, not Chris's replacement in this game, which is, of course, Lyra. No. We have our means of actually giving a shit, and we're actually going ahead with our Cyndaquil buddy here. So, for the regular Hot Gold enthusiasts, this is probably the hardest bit of the game, which is just basically leveling up your Cyndaquil by basically means of using just using your standard attacks. Of course, if you didn't want to pick Cyndaquil, you would have to go with Chikorita and Totodile. Chikorita is no longer the Gen 2 powerhouse as it was in the original, so wanted to show off hidden power, which was a move introduced in Gen 2, which peaked in this generation, and well, that's that really. Not very good, but we do want to take this thing down immediately, because a Pidgey tackle still deadly in the, well, I say the right hands or the wrong hands. It really just depends on how you perceive love. But if you do faint at this point, you go back to the thing, but you're also like, you know, you go back to your house, and you go to, like, you know, I don't know, sure, but yeah. There are no Pokemon Centers at this point. The only thing would be a recharge would be to go back to Professor Elm at this point, but I really don't think you want to do that. So yeah, level 6 Smokescreen, which is not too bad, but you want to level up to about, our target level is going to be around level 10, because around about level 10 is where they start learning your elemental moves. Or earlier if you're using the other two. Yeah. This is also centric. Yeah, what I'm planning to do with Gold here is basically I'm going to be combining his default his Mungaron with what I think is Gold's member of the team. Yeah? It's just interesting members, let's just say that. Hot Gold is probably his best version, because I think it's the best version of the two. In the past, I would have said Silver would have been the better of the two games, but there are exclusives all across the board. And here at Route 46, which is basically the step-up point, because there's quite a few locations here. This is also where we can find some new Pokemon that we haven't, like, you know, technically do all that. But yeah, I'm gonna start working with. Well, this is useful, because otherwise Cyndaquil would have been pecked to death, and that would have been not so good. We are gonna try and get our Pokemon up to a stable beach. So I mean, level 7's pretty good. So that was level 8. We need to find is a Geodude. Oh, there it is, and here's the Geodude. This Pokemon, in the early part of the game, and I would have been said the best part of the game, is that if you're struggling for team members when we do get our hands on Pokeballs, a Geodude's pretty good, and so is a Spearow, because the first two gyms of the game are literally rock and flying weak. Well, I wouldn't say rock weak or that one. The first two gyms is definitely rock weak. Definitively rock weak. So you want to take advantage of getting a rock type at some point, but we will be getting a rock member. So you may want to keep Geodude in mind. Spearow in this game has the more reliable access to Peck, which is a flying type attack. Normally Gust would be the stronger of the two. In fact, I would have said Pidgey. The Pidgey line would have been useful in the past, but between the original Gold, Silver, Crystal releases of the game and the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum remake versions of the game, and this is the reboot of that one, which is a little bit more interesting. Pidgey got a massive, downgrade, and it doesn't work anymore because in Gen 4, physical moves and special moves became the different categories, and typings of both categories existed. So, Gus was reclassed as a special move, whilst a lot of the special stalwarts that of the past became special moves, and formerly special stalwart moves, such as the elemental punches, became physical attacks. Gen 4 benefited some brand new typings, like, say, physical grass type, the physical water type, which is what Gyarados is now literally become, which is this immense powerhouse. But other than that, yeah, the first two gens somewhat got okay. I can't remember which ones, but I know for a fact that I'm going to be including as I'm trying to mention, I'm trying to get 3 different party types going, so there will be a lot of inclusions. I am going to try and get to level 8 because, let me put it this way, if we do this now, it's going to make the next couple of parts a bit of a breeze. I always say. I mean, you don't have to do this, but you're going to be vastly underleveled, and you do not want to be vastly underleveled in this game. The game, you probably will feel underleveled, but you don't want to be underleveled. Is that what you get my basic meaning? Is because in recent years, XY being the biggest culprit of overleveling in the entire series, but that's only because some people tend to not turn off the EXP share, which got a massive... It returned to Gen 1 levels, which a lot of people disagree with, and then it became permanently unturn-offable. It just meant that from Gen 4, from Gen 6 all the way to Gen 8, 9, and all that stuff, the stuff became unturn-offable. It became integral to the thing. And then that's when everyone started complaining about Pokemon X and what X. Pretty much all the franchises X onwards to being a lot more unserious, but they tried they remade Gen 8 they remade Diamond Pearl, and everyone hated it because it was not only 1v1, but it was also too close to comfort. Even though the company basically replicated that again. Anyway, we rambled our way to Cherry Grove City, and this old man here is going to give us an item, is going to give us a tour, but he's also got a few things to note. They pretty much have given him the running shoes. The running shoes has been a big thing since Gen 3. It solved the original Pokemon Gold and Silver issue of pacing, which was just stuck walking. Remember that walking speed that we spent all the time walking towards the thing? Yeah, so up there is Route 30, that's where we have to go, Mr. Pokemon's house. And he takes us all the way to here, which is nice because he'll show us a feature, which is of course we can hear the rustling of the grass, we walk on that one, the thud of the footpaths, we walk on earth, and of course we're on the beach. Anyway, so he gives you the running shoes. Brand new pair of running shoes, which now allows us to run freely. Thank God, it would have been fucking hell if we would have been doing that. But anyway, the best news of all is that we can now go inside the Pokemon Center, which is these red buildings. We can now use the Pokemon Centers are free to use. I mean, the worst thing they could do is they introduce $500 charges, and you know what would actually cause a real revolution. Anyway, we are done with this opening bit for now. So, We've arrived at Cherry Grove City, and we are going to be heading towards the next route towards Mr. Pokemon's house in order to carry out his tasks. Thank you very much for enduring 10 minutes of me, by the way. I know I haven't done this for a while, but I wanted to get some things off my chest and talk about the game in general. So next time, we got some work to do. See ya, folks. Bye for now.